Hi, my name is Noel Davis with World Composting, and today we're going to take a look at our urban worm bag. This is our first version that has the African Nightcrawlers in it. It's been about 30 days since our last update, so a lot less than our 4 or 5 month update that we did last time, but we're going to probably add a lot more food to it, and we're going to add a lot more of our Vitamix output as we try to heat this system up, build up some of that heat for these worms. These African Nightcrawlers really prefer it much warmer than it is in my basement, which is probably in the 60s. And since it's cold outside, we really need to also add that heat. So this is hopefully going to get some hot composting going. And then also I have some right here, a big bag of coffee grounds that has been sitting around or wet. And it looks like it's a little bit moldy inside. We might add this entire bag to it just so I can get it out of my basement and keep moving along with that as well. So with that, let's take a look at our system, see how it's doing, see what we're going to add to it. I plan on adding a lot. I'm hoping that we find lots of worms in there that have kind of expanded in size with the extra moisture we added. And hopefully they're starting to do a better job of moving through the material we added last time. So with that, let's take a look at our system and see how it's going. All right, so it's been 32 days when I looked at the clock or the date. And let's go ahead and open this up and see how these worms are doing. By the way, with some of the stuff I'm adding, I already have a mask ready to go around my face. I don't have it on quite yet so you can hear me clearly, but I will be wearing a mask for a lot of this, I'm sure. So first off, get my glove on here, and I do wear these gloves here. I like being able to keep my hands clean, and also because I get lots of cuts, especially this time of year, it really is helpful. So we're going to take off our little lid right here that we've got. I'm just going to put this off to the side. And let's take a look in here. First off, we've got looks like some of these millipedes right here. So you can see I've got lots of little millipedes in here on the top. They're sort of breaking down that material. Oh, we already see some worms, and they've got some movement to them. This is a good sign. So these are African Nightcrawlers, as I said. They look quite lively right now, which is great. I'm seeing a lot of moisture in the top here. Oh, look at that. A lot of worms up here. You know one thing we didn't do? Let me see if I've got my temperature gauge right here. It's already going to cool off a little bit, but you can see right here, I think. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's in the 60s in here. And looking at the floor, it's about the same. It's the temperature of the room, basically. It's in the 60s. This is too cool for them. It'd be really nice if we had some extra warmth come into the system. But you can see in here, these worms are looking nice and healthy. And you can see the black material in there is that the charcoal, I should say, added. It's not biochar really until it inoculates in here. But you can see the worms are in here. They're working through this stuff. It looks like there's a lot of healthy material in here. Through a lot of the cardboard, actually, is gone as well. So they're, ooh, here we go. Here's what African Nightcrawlers normally look like. Look at this. Look at that one. Really big worm right there. That's what I'm used to seeing with these African Nightcrawlers. They're these massive, massive worms. And that's what I'm hoping to sort of get back in here with as they sort of mature. You can see there's a couple more of them over here. These are much larger than some of the other ones, but they're not up to their full size, which is my entire hand here. So I'm hoping to build them back up by getting some heat in here. And I'm sure during the summer they'll be better, but look at this. They really worked through a lot of that cardboard, and we added a full thing of cardboard in here, from what I remember. So a lot of that's gone, but this looks like great material on the top here. They're really starting to move through this stuff. First thing we're going to do, I'm just going to spray this down a little bit. I've got my sprayer right here. I'm going to flip that on. We're going to add a little bit of water here just to kind of moisten everything up. This is colder water. This is room temperature water, so it's cold. But we're just going to kind of moisten everything. These guys need moisture just like any other worm. That's how they breathe, through their skin, for those that don't know. So we're just going to add some water in here, kind of mix it in. This is just a surface sprinkle, so this is not really getting in to the nooks and crannies of everything, so that's why I'm just kind of doing this, and rinse off my gloves a little bit here too while we're at it. This is really just a surface watering, but this way we can kind of get everything a little bit wet. But it'll slowly soak in a little bit, but it's not going to get real deep. This is not a massive, massive amount of water I'm putting in. That's just with the sprayer here, just to get it a little bit wet. Let me turn that off because it makes a loud beeping noise. And now I'm going to put on my mask because we're going to add a whole bunch of different things here to the top of this system. And I'm not going to add any food items like I normally would. As far as like fresh food, we're going to be adding a lot of different materials that I'm trying to just sort of use up here. And I'm hoping will add heat to the system. So first off here, we've got these coffee grounds from Starbucks, and I think that these have molded over because I've lost the track of them in my basement. They feel like a solid brick in here now. And I got my mask on, as I said. And you can see, oh yeah, look at that. That's just 100% mold. So my goal is to add the majority of this. This is going to heat up probably in here as well. But I figure we can just add this entire bag. Because it's okay to heat this up. These worms are going to be able to take it. They can dive away from the heat if they need to. And they can come up and eat this stuff as they need to as well. This, you can see, this is just really moldy. And I really just want to get rid of this right now. I forgot this was in my basement. It was behind some stuff. And I meant to put this in here earlier. There we go. Look at that. Just a solid chunk of mold. And the worms are going to work through all this stuff. They're amazing at working through mold and all those things. But I am wearing a mask because I have no idea if this is bad for me to be breathing in. And I will be running a filter down here to filter out all the air. So almost got the last chunk of it. Look at that. So this is what happens if you have a Starbucks bag full of coffee grounds. You let it just sit in your basement and forget to put it in your freezer. So, oh man. Just trying to break all this apart. As I said, this is probably going to heat up quite a bit. Perfectly fine. We're going to have this closed off. Worms will be able to dive away into the material underneath. You can tell there's a lot of material, a lot of coffee grounds in here. I'm just trying to break these off so that way there we go. These are pretty dry, by the way. At least they feel like it. So what we might want to do is kind of just moisten these down, which I think we're going to do here with our sprayer. Because I don't want this to absorb all the moisture in the system and harm the worms because they're not getting the moisture that they need. So we're just going to kind of spray this down. Just break some of these apart if we can. Smaller chunks are better. As always with worms, we're going to go after the smaller pieces first. There we go. Spray down my gloves again. Get this just a little bit more moist. All right, now, next part to this, I'm going to turn off the sprayer again, is we're going to add a layer of Vitamix stuff as well. Now, we're not going to add to this entire bin. I was kind of hoping to, but there's a lot of coffee grounds in there, so we're going to add a whole bunch of this, though. Not measuring anything out, but this stuff, when it gets wet, from experience, I know that it heats up. And this also, by the way, adds a ton of dust in here. We're going to go ahead and spray this down again as well. Again, we want to make sure we're not taking any moisture out of the system. We want to make sure we're adding so the worms are nice and healthy. And this has a mixture of shells and all sorts of stuff in it. So we're going to go mix this in. This is probably going to hot compost for a day or two, and then it's going to be fine. But I've expected to warm up this system quite a bit. And then hopefully give these worms a good treat, which they're going to need, and hopefully this heat will help them expand in size, multiply, and there's already some eggshells and things like that in here as well, so I'm not too worried about that. All right. Last part to this is I really wanted to add some paper too. So, over here, I've got my pre-soaked paper ready to go. There's going to be some water in this as well. This is all wet. And you want to cover all this stuff up. So, there we go. Look at this. And they went through all the paper last time over those 30 days, really. I'm pretty sure I added paper last time. Look at that. All right. Got some water in there. We scrape out, scrape out the last of this container. There we go. And look at that. We got a whole bunch of paper in here. We got a whole bunch of food. And what I'm hoping is that we get some areas that'll really warm up as this sort of hot compost gives the worms a lot of food to eat. Try to get the last bit of this paper. Actually, I'm going to just spray off my gloves real quick. Get everything off there that I can, all the paper and everything. Make sure everything's nice and wet, moistened down. And we are ready to go ahead and close this system up. So that's it for this system for today. Oh, wait, you know what? I almost forgot. Let me just put this little cover back down on there. Now it's ready to be closed up and sealed back in. And we'll try to come back in another 30 days or so and hope that they've worked through all of this material and really started to make their mark as far as what's left in here. So we'll come back then. We'll see how they're doing, see how they work through those coffee grounds. That was a lot of coffee grounds we just added. So thank you for watching. If you have any questions or comments or anything you want to add, please leave one down below that way. Thank you for watching.